All right, folks, welcome back from the commercial break. It's Friday, but we're going to do something special. We're going to throw in a holiday. Yep, we're going to call it AMAC Friday because I missed it Wednesday. I was traveling. I couldn't get my much needed conversation with Bobby Charles. Every time I talk to him, I always feel smarter, better, and wiser. So we're not going to let the whole week slip by. We're going to bring him in right now. Our good friend, the national spokesman for the Association of Mature American Citizens, the leading Republican candidate for Maine, the former Assistant Secretary of State, our good friend, Bobby Charles. Bobby, welcome back.
John, I love being on your show and talking to your audience. Just incredible people. Yep.
You know, a few years ago, I had this incredible opportunity to interview a Cuban spy who had started with Castro and all through the years with the Soviets. And then later in his life, he was working with Cuba, but more so with China and North Korea and Venezuela and Iran, our new axis of evil enemies. And he said one of the keys to destabilizing a country like America is to try to make the abnormal normal. It seems as though all the abnormalities that we suffered during the Biden years, that what Donald Trump is trying to do is make normal again, which is actually good for the country. It's normal to have a good border. We have a good secure border again. It's normal to try to fight crime, not let it run rampant. That's going on. It seems as though making America normal again is a part of the Trump agenda.
You know, it is, John, and so what a great, by the way, lead in, because I spent time behind the Iron Curtain, and that's exactly what they do. They make the normal appear abnormal, and they make the abnormal appear normal, which is exactly what George Orwell and Aldous Huxley and others, predicted would happen if communism and whatever label you give it, the centralization of power and the changing of the language to reflect an ideological shift to the left, this is how it would happen. And so lawfulness is what the president is trying to bring back into the center, back to norm. So how is he doing that? He's saying borders really matter. We're going to protect them, and then we're going to find those who have gotten in here illegally, both those who've committed crimes and the crime of coming into the country illegally, and we are going to push them through immigration courts and deport them. And they are going to go back to where they came, and the illegality of their getting here will be recognized and addressed. And then he's, getting these drug boats to stop coming from Venezuela and other locations, and creating deterrence that existed not that long ago. He's recreating deterrence. He's actually, bringing the National Guard in under Title 10, completely lawful. 10 presidents have used Title 10 since, I think, FDR. And FDR, by the way, and Bill Clinton both used Title 10 use of the National Guard to restabilize states and cities, including Washington, D.C., that were destabilized. So what Trump is doing is trying to bring back a respect for the law. And as a lawyer, never mind a law clerk and a litigator myself, as a lawyer, if one of the things, and any constitutional conservative, any American who ever read the Bill of Rights, never mind the rest of the Constitution, understands that we are a nation of laws. We are not a nation of lawless rogues. We're not back in what John Locke called the state of nature, where everything goes and nothing goes, and everything is a state of basically daily war. We're not in that. We're a country that is founded on a constitution that expects certain behaviors of our people. Unfortunately, not only are we seeing that a lawlessness has come into the forefront and has kind of become a norm under Biden, but basic definitions, what a girl and a boy is, the fact that you don't push boys into girls' sports to disenfranchise them of their safety, privacy, and dignity, the very fact that you don't call things that have historically been not just immoral, but have been dangerous to other people legal, and then believe that they're okay, whether it's, Antifa violence or drug legalization. We don't do that in America. We actually have an understanding, and we've had one for 250 years, about what is normally lawful and what is normally unlawful. And we have to get back to respecting that, because, again, it passes down generation to generation only through education. And in the state of Maine, if I could pause for just a moment on it, and I am the leading candidate on the Republican side, John, we are seeing this in spades. You have, just like you had this communist elected in New York, we in this state had a Bangor city council member who was a declared communist, and another one who is a former murderer who killed her victim by stuffing their face with sand, and the Democrat leftists in Bangor have elected them. Now, whether that involved illegal alien voting or not, we don't know, although we do know, based on the Secretary of State, that there are illegal aliens on the voter rolls, and she refuses to disgorge them to the Department of Justice, despite the subpoena that's been handed to her. And then, just yesterday, in the city of Lewiston, we have a guy that refuses to conform with election laws, who won't reveal where he lives, who says that he lives in one place as it's actually a condemned building, which can't be so, and has violated other laws, including gun possession laws and whatnot. And at the end of the day, what we're seeing here, we're seeing, if you go to any city in the state of Maine and many towns, you see drug traffickers running the show, you see homelessness everywhere, addiction everywhere, and a government at the center run by a governor and her cabinet who are violating the laws themselves and basically don't care. The head of the Senate, who is still the head of the Senate, a Democrat in the state of Maine, gave herself a $500,000 forgivable loan, i.e. grant, to fund her 3-person brewery. That is lawlessness. We have 4,500 contracts in this state done by the state, non-compete, sole source, given to friends and family, and absolutely no prosecution. Every one of them should have been a felony referral. No criminal referrals, because the AG himself is a Democrat beholden to the Democrat governor, who is beholden to a bunch of other influences. And so, John, I think what the lesson really is in America and in the state of Maine and any blue state and in inner city Chicago or anywhere else, if you give up on lawfulness, people begin to take the law into their own hands. They don't trust the government. We have to get back to trust of our leaders, which means people have to step up who are trustworthy and who live up to the trust vested in them.
Yeah. Making law and order normal again is going to be welcomed all across this country. It's common sense, and it seems like it's starting to fall into place with, whether, like you said, the National Guard, just more aggressive prosecutions, the Justice Department stepping things up. I think most Americans are saying, I kind of like where this is going. We'll see how long that holds up. I want to talk a little bit about foreign affairs, because obviously you played such an important role for such a long time in the State Department. Russian military spy ship was floating around the U.S. coastline. A lot of people worried about that. These things happen a lot. They seldom get reported, but I think the fact that it's reported, what do you make of it?
Well, I think that one thing that's happening is Trump is willing to pop the lid off all this stuff and let people know what's happening, whereas people like Biden either didn't know that it was happening at all, like the Chinese balloons, or wanted to try to cover it up, and who knows what the motivations were for that. But I think, what we have with Donald Trump is an authentic person who is actually authentically representing the people of America. And, when he reveals a threat, whether it's Iran and he calls it out and then puts it away, or he calls out a threat like Hamas or Hezbollah, or he calls out Russia, or he calls out China, he is speaking. I'm gonna give you a funny little phrase. Historically in life and in philosophy, they talk about speaking truth to power, that integrity is speaking truth to power, which means that average people have the courage to speak up and call a spade to the people who are in power. But I want to invert that. I want to turn that inside out and tell you that Donald Trump is speaking truth to power because he knows that he serves the real power, which is we the people. He is speaking truth to we the people on a daily basis, and it offends some people. But he is speaking it on a daily basis because authenticity in government is what is required for trust in government, which is in turn required to make the entire society work. And I think when he reveals that national security threats are real, whether it's drug boats from Venezuela or Russian spy boats or Chinese activity or Iran, what he's doing is he's saying to the American people, I owe it to you. Now, classified facts are classified facts, but I owe it to you. As long as I don't give away sources and methods and endanger our ability to respond, I owe it to you to let you know what's going on in our country.
Yeah, it is remarkable. Any update on the 250 ballots found in that Amazon package? That's one of the great integrity issues that are still kind of out there, right?
We have so many issues of public corruption in this state, John, that it's hard to know where to begin. But no, there is a deafening silence from the Secretary of State, whose responsibility it was to hold on to track those ballots to make sure there was integrity in the system. The same Secretary of State who threw Trump off the ballot last year, the same Secretary of State who acknowledges illegals on the rolls, the same Secretary of State who will not abide a subpoena from the Justice Department, the same Secretary of State who lies about Title IX, the same Secretary of State. I mean, we could go on and on. And this is, by the way, one of the leading candidates for governor on the Democrat side. And, you know, the upshot of all this, and including the deafening silence about something that I think the FBI is still investigating because no one else will in this state, the deafening silence really is the flip side of outrage on the part of, or outrage is the flip side of that deafening silence. Mainers, I'm in every single county. I talk to Democrats, I talk to independents, I talk to diehard conservatives like me, and at the end of the day, I'll tell you what I hear. People are sick of it, John. They are sick of being used and abused by a system they don't trust, that taxes them to death, that allows illegality to be unattended, and actually promotes public corruption and corruption in our electoral process. People are just sick of it. And I think what we're going to see next year is an overwhelming red wave, literally an irrepressible red wave, where we win back the House, maybe the Senate, we win the constitutional officers, and win the governorship, because people are just, they're at their exploding point. They are at a point where they're saying, you know what, I mean, you don't know how many conversations I have on a daily basis. People say, Bobby, you either win or I'm leaving the state. Big businesses, small businesses, families, retired people, young people. They say, either we get this right or I'm leaving Maine.
So I noticed something that I think is going to become a trend line, but it started with your campaign. You have a Democratic challenger named Hannah Pingree, and you're pointing out that she sounds an awful lot like the socialist who was just elected in New York on housing issues and other things. Is this a model for some of these far left candidates that are going to run, that being able to compare them to the Mamdani experience is going to be a rich opportunity?
Well, I mean, yes, from a Republican perspective, pointing out the obvious, that the Democrat Party in Maine is literally following lockstep, a communist in New York City, who is not only a communist, but an anti-Semitic, Muslim, unapologetic, critic of much of what we think of as the Judeo-Christian ethic. But it's worse than that. I mean, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 Democrats running for governor in this state, and they are all basically following the model that you don't need any accountability. You talk as if the state is not in trouble when you have put the state in a free fall. Our education system is the worst in the country. Infrastructure is the worst in the country. Energy costs are the worst in the country. Just jumped by twice the second state, last year, in a state that only makes $42,000 a year on average. And we've got more drug traffickers here by proportion than we're in the 10 top worst for drug trafficking, even though our profile should look like South Dakota, which is the best in the country when it comes to drug trafficking and drug overdoses. We have taxes that are the highest property taxes in the United States, absolutely intolerable. Older people cannot stay on a fixed income in a home that they've owned for generations. They are having to disgorge it or to sell it or to move out of the state, or all three. Young people cannot afford to buy a home in this state because the average income per month is $200 below average rent. This is the living embodiment of a totally dysfunctional, rapidly becoming socialist/communist/Marxist state. And people are waking up. I mean, even conservative Democrats call me, John, and they say, we do not want to become a communist state. We don't even understand what our party's doing anymore. So this party has become 70-30 Marxist, progressive, whatever you want to call it, centralized power with no accountability on the Democrat side. And people are just sick of it. Even the Democrats are sick of it.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Bobby, joining AMAC has been one of the great joys of my life. I've been a 5-year card-carrying member. I love it. For folks who are listening today and they want to join, take advantage of the partnership between Just the News, John Solomon Reports, and the Association of Mature American Citizens, whether just a few of the things that they get when they sign up and become a member like you and me.
The biggest thing I think they get, John, which we don't talk about a lot, and we talk about it being a family and millions of Americans who believe these World War II values, founding constitutional conservative values, is they get a chance to be among like-minded people who truly are working every day in all 50 states and at the national level to get this country back to those core values that we truly know. I mean, these are things that don't change with history. These core values are the core values that the Bill of Rights, free speech, freedom of worship, self-protection, keep and bear arms, Fourth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, Sixth Amendment, fair trial, don't come in my house without a warrant, all these basic things that were always all American. World War II values, Norman Rockwell's America. If you believe in that stuff, this is the group of people that you want to spend time with. And we gather, in every single state, they are tremendously powerful. So the number one thing is you're with like-minded people, a family of people who love America. And I would say 25%, 30% of our members are veterans. More than that are members of a veteran's family. These are people who believe in America. So join AMAC for that reason. But then, of course, you get big economic benefits, whether it's on insurances or dental or travel. And so, you've got an alternative to the other side. And the alternative is the Conservative Group for Seniors, AMAC. And it is probably one of the best organizations in the entire country for accountability, delivering results, and love of America.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about it. And every time I travel, like just this past weekend when I need a rental car, I get a great discount too, which I love. So I save money. It pays for itself over and over and over again. Bobby, as always, I look forward to these conversations. I feel bad this one was delayed, but I had to get back to DC so we could have such a great conversation. And you delivered, as always.
John, I can't tell you what a privilege and a joy in my week it is to talk to you and to your audience, because these are people who care about America.
Yeah, it's true. And they're grateful. And we're grateful that we get that chance every week with you and our good friends at AMAC. So thanks for joining us. We'll have you again back next week. So it'll be fun again.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Thanks, my friend. Take care.